It was one of those nights when silence spoke louder than applause. The stage of Real Time with Bill Maher glowed under the sharp studio lights, and the audience could feel something electric in the air. Jane Fonda, the Hollywood icon turned activist, sat with the same confidence that once made her a legend. But tonight, something was different. Her smile was rehearsed, her tone calculated, and across from her sat Bill Maher, calm, collected, and ready to speak the kind of truth that doesn't ask for permission. The conversation started politely, as all televised debates do. "Jane," Bill began, "you've spent decades fighting for change. But don't you think that now, in trying to fix the world, we've started silencing it?" Jane leaned forward, her voice firm. "Bill, it's not silencing. It's accountability. People need to be responsible for their words." The audience applauded, but Bill's smirk didn't fade. He knew this wasn't just another interview, it was a cultural collision waiting to happen. "Accountability?" he asked, "or censorship wrapped in moral language?" Jane frowned. "It's about protecting people from harm. And who decides what's harmful?" Bill shot back. "You, me, Twitter." The crowd gasped. Cameras zoomed in. The tension was thick enough to slice with a knife. "You fought censorship in the 70s, Bill continued, his tone sharpening. "You stood against the system that wanted to silence dissent. But now, you've become the voice of that same system, just with better PR." Jane opened her mouth to reply but paused. For the first time, she didn't have a scripted answer. "Bill, you don't understand." "No, Jane," he interrupted, "I do. You want people to be better. But somewhere along the way, we started confusing kindness with control. We stopped forgiving mistakes. We stopped growing." The audience clapped, slowly at first, then louder, breaking the tension. Bill leaned closer. "You were fearless once. You believed rebellion meant thinking for yourself. Now, rebellion is agreeing with the crowd. You're not fighting for freedom anymore, Jane, you're policing it." Jane's eyes flashed with emotion. For a moment, she looked less like the activist and more like the woman behind the image, vulnerable, human, tired. "You think I don't see what's happening?" she said quietly. "I've watched generations grow angrier but emptier. I just don't want hate to win." "Neither do I," Bill replied gently. "But silencing people doesn't kill hate. It feeds it in the dark." A hush fell over the room. The audience wasn't just watching a debate, they were watching two eras collide. The rebel of yesterday facing the realist of today. Bill continued, his words now softer but sharper than ever. "You taught people to speak up, to challenge authority, to question power. But now, power wears a new mask, the mask of virtue. And questioning it makes you the enemy. Isn't that ironic?" Jane smiled faintly. "Maybe I've become what I used to fight against." "Maybe," Bill said, "but admitting that takes more courage than pretending you're still right." The crowd broke into applause, standing now. Even Jane couldn't help but smile. For the first time in a long while, truth had cut through noise, not to hurt, but to heal. The show ended with no dramatic outro, no victory lap. Just silence, the kind that follows realization. That night, social media exploded. Clips flooded timelines with hashtags like #MarVsFonda, #TruthOverTrends, and #Free Speech Matters. Some called Bill cruel, others called him brave. But deep down, everyone agreed they had witnessed something real. A clash not of egos, but of eras. The next morning, Jane posted a message that shocked everyone. "Bill Maher didn't destroy me. He reminded me that truth isn't the enemy of progress. It's the foundation of it." That single line gathered millions of likes, but more importantly, millions of people stopped scrolling for a moment and started thinking. The internet, for once, wasn't just a battlefield, it was a classroom. Bill, in his next episode, closed the show with words that echoed across the world. The truth doesn't need to scream. It just needs to survive. And when it does, it changes everything. The audience rose to their feet, clapping not just for him but for what that night represented: honesty, courage, and the power to listen without fear. Because that's what the world had forgotten. Disagreement isn't division, and truth isn't cruelty. It's clarity. That live moment between Bill and Jane became more than viral, it became timeless. Two people, on opposite sides of belief, had reminded everyone watching that freedom of thought means being brave enough to hear what hurts, and still respect it. As the lights faded and the cameras turned off, Jane whispered to Bill, "You were right about one thing." He smiled. "Just one." She laughed softly. "Maybe more than one." Bill looked at her and said, "Then maybe there's still hope for all of us." That simple exchange, no shouting, no rehearsed lines, just raw honesty, captured what millions had been craving: real connection in a world drowning in noise. And as that clip replayed endlessly online, it became clear why people couldn't look away. Because deep down, everyone saw a reflection of themselves, the part that's afraid to be wrong, yet desperate to be real. Collision. If this story gave you chills, hit like, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe, because truth telling isn't over, it's just getting started.